What's up, YouTube? It's Ryan from AnnihilatorMTG here, and I'm back again with some more Modern. This week, we're to be playing some Blue-Black Mill. Due to the unstable nature of the format, as things start to shift after the recent bannings, a deck like Mill can honestly do quite well. As per usual, we're going to be going with a tried-and-true 8-crab approach to Mill. I really can't stress just how effective these cards are. Being able to start off turn 2, potentially milling 6 cards with just a fetch land is insane. One of the changes that we are making to the deck is a shift away from Maddening Cacophony as a replacement for Glimpse the Unthinkable. Both cards have their strengths, but right now Glimpse hits harder, so we're going to be running a 2-4 split in Glimpse's favor. The second change is the inclusion of Eliminate as a means to clear up the board. Drown in the Loch is fabulous in this deck as both a way to counter spells on the stack and remove creatures, and while that's still true, we definitely could use the help due to the massive influx in aggro, tribal, and of course, Planeswalkers 3 CMC and below. Speaking of aggro, if we take a look at the sideboard, we're running a staggering 4 copies of Profane Memento. For those of you unfamiliar with this card, I think it's time to change that. Against creature-heavy decks, our mill spells more or less turn into life gain, which is ridiculous to say the least. Overall, I think Mill's a sweet deck, even at the worst of times, so it should do quite good in this ever-changing meta. Let's hop into the first match and find out for ourselves. Okay, looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friend. And this hand is just on the fringe of being absolutely fantastic. If we could find ourselves a fetch land, it's going to be pretty hard to beat us. So we'll keep just on that alone. Hopefully our opponent doesn't tear our hand apart, but we'll have to see. They play a Flooded Strand. That's certainly a good start for us. We draw a second trap. I guess we'll take that. We'll play the Watery Grave and lead with the Crab. And let's see if they will crack the fetch or maybe play a little bit more defensively. And we see a Triome. So let's play trap number 1, Force of Negation, Pitch Opt. Trap number 2, and okay, honestly, with what I'm seeing here, I wouldn't expect this to be a Triome. This looks like a bog standard approach to like blue-white. Our opponent draws, that puts them at 38 cards. They play a Fortress. It looks like our opponent was tapping white there for a second. They might just be waiting for our turn. We draw, they're holding in our draw step, and they path us. We're going to snag an island and then just play a Visions. Field of Ruin. Okay, sure. Some of you might be a little bit confused about the seemingly very early visions, especially when our opponent has 17 cards in their graveyard. I feel like we're in a position here where if we draw maybe another land or two, not necessarily two, but if we draw another land, we can really lock our opponent out of the game. It looks like they just pass straight through. I think what I want to do here is hit the Triome with the field first and foremost. They float a blue. We're going to grab a swamp. They get an island. I do wonder what the Triome's about. Is it just for sideboard cards? They cycle a Shark Typhoon for 1. Don't think we care about that in the least. We'll hard pass. Now we've got like 3 glimpses in our hand, which is absolutely tremendous. Our opponent plays a Plains. Will we see a Teferi? We will. Okay. They draw off the Teferi, returning nothing. They swing in for 1, and beautiful. An island. Okay. We're going to start with a Glimpse, see if we can get them to force. Good. They force pitch Teferi, then we're going to play an Orb. This will disincentivize them to tap out pretty much ever. Plus, it's going to take them a little while to get their Teferi back up so they can potentially return the Orb. We're going to yield in the meantime. They're down to 27 if we include their draw. They uptick the Teferi, play a Plains, move to combat, swing in with their Shark. We're at 16. They pass, we mill some. We see a Flooded Strand. Let's play Glimpse number 1, Spell Snare, Glimpse number 2, and it resolves. Awesome. And it looks like they've seen enough. So we definitely want to bring in the disputes in a matchup like this. Being able to especially counter a force or an early Teferi is going to be crucial. I think that we can reasonably cut the pushes. That shouldn't be too big of a deal. The Soul Guide Lanterns are definitely interesting. I almost even like the Bloodchief's Thirst. It'll take a little bit to get to Kicker though, so maybe not. How big of an issue is Crypt Incursion? Probably not that big of a deal, so maybe the Thirsts are just better. Yeah, we'll try this. Why not? It looks like our opponent did a hybrid approach to just mashing a bunch of cards into their main board by running 67. Okay. So this hand is very similar to the last one. And since we've got 2 crabs and they very likely have a path, I think we're just going to keep. If we get one of the crabs pathed, who cares? We almost kind of want that in a way. They play a Hollowed Fountain untapped. They pass. Surgical. We're going to lead with a Watery Grave and then start off with Hedron Crab because this card is less important than, say, the Ruin Crab. They play an opt in response. We pass, they draw. We see a Flooded Strand. They're passing. We draw for turn, Watery Grave. We're going to play a Ruin Crab. They crack their Flooded Strand, getting an island, and then they go for the Mana Leak. Sure, we'll play a Watery Grave, untapped, target them, save target's yield. We see Cryptic and Force. I think I want to take the opportunity to Surgical their Force of Negation. Ooh, and they have one in hand. Awesome. Okay. They are playing Double Field Mentor Shark Typhoon. Their deck is relatively straightforward. We see some explosives, Jace, 3 mana Teferi, 5 mana Teferi, some snaps, full playset. Really don't understand the Triome. I guess it's just better for the engineered explosives. Well, that's clever. We're going to take the Force out of the yard as well. Normally, we want to keep their yard filled to the brim for drown reasons, but we don't want them snapping anything. So all in all, a really good Surgical. We pass, they draw. Field of Ruin. I assume we're going to see a Mentor. Yes, indeed. Honestly, them tapping out's pretty great for us. And we see a fetch land. Tremendous. Let's get started with the milling. We'll crack the Delta, find an island. Good stuff so far. We're going to hit him with a Glimpse. And now, since we have enough cards in our graveyard to play the Visions and get 3, we're just going to do it at sorcery speed because we don't want it to be countered for any reason. And it's not like they're playing hand attack, so us exposing our hand is not that big of a deal. They draw for turn. They play an Opt. Luckily for us, we are going to be able to eliminate the Mentor. There's going to be some tokens laying around, but that's okay. They play a Hollowed Fountain untapped. And we unfortunately see a 3 mana Teferi. That's pretty rough. So their Mentor is at a 4/4, and then they're going to return our Crab. Yikes. They move to combat. They're going to swing in with a Mentor. We're down to 11, and we untap and draw. Darkslick Shores isn't really all that good. I think what we want to do for now is just start with the Visions. We see Trap, Surgical, Dispute. Let's take a look here for a moment. I think we're going to play the Darkslick Shores, and then just eliminate the Mentor. And I think after that, we just pass. They draw for turn. They uptick their Teferi. They play a Celestial Colonnade. Good card. It's nice to see this in Modern again. They swing in for 2. Will they pump? They will not. We draw a Drown in the Loch. Let's start off with a Maddening Cacophony. I don't mind if this gets countered. They play a Spell Snare, sure. Then I think I want to play a Thirst on one of the tokens and just jam a Crab. We're definitely in a very awkward position here. There's no doubt about that at all, as they cycle a Shark Typhoon. So they're representing about, let's see, if they have a land, 6 damage. They play a field, so they do indeed have it, but that's if they want to attack with a Colonnade. They don't seem to want to do that, though. They swing in with a Shark. I think realistically speaking here, their role is to get aggressive. They've got 2 cards left in their hand. Field of Ruin. Let's play it. We mill them. Let's play Glimpse the Unthinkable. It resolves. Then let's drown the Shark. That resolves as well. And then I think we just pass. Our opponent draws 2 with the Charm. Okay. They draw for turn. They sack the Teferi to return the Crab. Maybe we should have just fielded the Colonnade. Who knows? I'm hoping they don't have another land where they can just play something. Or maybe they're just going to go for, what, 5? Maybe. They swing in for 5. They play a Colonnade. I think what I want to do here is just jam a Crab. Then I want to pop the field on their Colonnade. They float a blue. Let's get an island. We mill them. Then we go for the trap, holding up a Mystical Dispute, and they scoop it up. GG's. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friend, and we won the die roll. This hand would be a lot better with a Crab, but I think we can definitely make do. It does look like we're playing against Obosh, which is particularly obnoxious, so I want to go for a Polluted Delta, and just in case, we're just going to fetch basics. That's kind of what you have to do in these scenarios. You don't want to get blown up by like a Magus. They play a tap land. That's wildly unexpected, but alright. We're going to fetch with a Delta, find ourselves a swamp. Then I think I want to go Darkslick Shores and play a Mesmeric Orb. By playing the Orb early, it sets us up for a lot of mill over the span of the entire game. We mill their Lightning Bolt. They play another tap land. We mill 2. Ruin Crab. Let's play it. Then we're going to jam the Flooded Strand. Yield. We do indeed see a Blood Moon. Let's crack the Flooded Strand, get ourselves an island. Light up the stage, couple mountains. Then we'll play a Glimpse, another Blood Moon, some bolts, some removal, Soulscar Mage. What's odd is they're playing these strange tap lands and not getting aggressive. It's turn 3 and they haven't attacked yet or hurt us in any conceivable way. I don't really understand that. They play a Seasoned Pyro. I like it. I especially like the Seasoned Pyro here because by them discarding, it kind of unlocks our visions, which is absolutely tremendous. We draw a Glimpse. Let's start off with the visions. Second orb, push. Okay. Let's play the field. Then we'll crack it. It seems that we milled over our only swamp and we didn't even pay attention to that, so that's a bit of a punt on our end. We can't exactly Fatal Push the Seasoned Pyro now, but we should be fine as they play a Swift Spear. They Firebolt our crab. Little strange. They hit our crab with another Firebolt. Little 2-for-1, I'll take that. They swing in for what looks like 6. Yes, indeed. And they play a land, going for a light up the stage. They find a Soulscar Mage and a Giant. Well, looks like this is pretty easy. We're going to start with a field, then we'll play Glimpse number 1, and then Glimpse number 2. We hard pass, wait for them to scoop, bunch of orb triggers, and they scoop it up. Well, that was a lot easier than I initially expected, but here we're going to bring in the Gusts, the Thirsts, and all of the Mementos. I think we could probably cut the Surgicals, although getting a Lava Dart would be potentially very interesting. I don't necessarily think that's in play. I also think we're going to cut the Traps because we didn't really see any fetches, I didn't think. And then probably cut some Cacophonies. And from here, we should just be gaining a billion life and just milling all the time. Should be awesome. This hand has some potential, but I don't think we're really going to be keeping it. The Swamp is pretty good if they lead with a creature, but outside of that, we're basically reliant on drawing a blue source, and I'd rather not risk it. Although with that said, this hand is much worse, so we're going down to 5. And I guess we have to keep this one. Let's drop the Hedron Crab, and I want to say maybe the Gust. Keep double push because they're bound to be playing creatures. This is definitely a bit sketchy. They play a Soulscar Mage. We draw an orb. We're going to lead with a push. This is definitely going to be a slower match. They draw for turn. They play a second mountain, and that seems to be it. We need to be very careful when it comes to Blood Moons because we don't have any basics whatsoever. We'll play Ruin Crab. We might just be scooping this up early. They bolt the crab. They draw for turn, play a mountain. They put the Obosh into hand. I'm fine with that. And we draw an island. Fantastic start. We're going to play the orb. Now, we are risking getting hit with a Blood Moon here, which is definitely annoying, but for what it's worth, they might have been scared of the Blood Moons because we have so many basics. We're running about 5, although maybe they expect more. Either way, they play a Shattering Spree, hitting our orb. Gross. It's a great card, though. I always love this art. Absolutely fabulous. They play a tap land, and they pass. We draw for turn. There's a Profane Memento. So I think we're going to play it and then just hold up the push. Not really going to jam the crab just yet. They draw. I bet they wish they waited with a Shattering Spree, although they immediately play a Blast Zone. Jeez. And an Obosh. Luckily, we can drown that. Thank goodness. There's another Ruin Crab. Let's drown the Obosh. We gain 1, and we'll pass. They draw for turn. I gotta assume they're just gonna blow up the Blast Zone. This Memento is gonna be a thorn in their side pretty much the entire time. They jam the Stomp, and we see the Giant side as well. Okay. They pass, we draw. Mesmeric Orb. We'll play it. They're going to mill for 5, which is pretty good. So they should probably respond to those Mesmeric Orb triggers because we did gain some life. They would be able to just blow it up and have the Giant on board still because it's a 3-drop, not a 1-drop. I really feel like they missed out there. They hardcast a Valakut Awakening. This is a very weird build. It's almost like, not quite aggro, but like a mono red, not mid-range, but also sort of mid-range. It's very hard to actually describe what we're seeing here. Normally, when you see mono red, it's either as aggro as humanly possible or some kind of weird lockout strategy. They swing in for 4. We're at 16. They play a light up the stage, showing Relic plus Bolt. They decide to play the Relic. We mill 2, and we find a Glimpse. Excellent. We're going to play it. We get 5 triggers. Brutal. Nothing like mill 10, gain 5, right? We gain 2 more after milling them for 5. I'll tell you what, Profane Memento, when it's good, it is good. Unbelievably good. They crack a lightning bolt. We're at 20, which you wouldn't believe on turn 8. I think it's long past time for them to just blow up this blast zone. I mean, the fact that they kept the Memento around this long is just, I don't even know what to say. It's like they're waiting for a crab or something like that, and we're just not going to give it to them, I don't think. Although what we could do is just jam a crab and then wait for them to blow everything up, and then we can just push the Giant. That's decent, right? They swing in for 4. We're down to 16. We untap, mill 2. We see another Glimpse. Goodness. Let's play it. You just gotta blow up the Memento now. And they don't. We're back up to 19. Absolutely no disrespect to our opponent, but I don't know why you'd even play Blast Zone if you're not going to use it on the thing that's been keeping us alive for the better part of, what, 80% of the game? I just don't get it. And they're saving it for the Mesmeric Orb. Holy smokes. All right, they mill 5. They blow up the Blast Zone. The orb dies. They still have to mill. They've got 15 cards left in their deck, and they swing in for 4. We untap, draw for turn, push. Let's play a crab. This should be a very easy push. If anything, we can just chump block, but I assume they're going to have a bolt or something. They stomp us, sure. They untap, draw for turn. They flame slash the crab. Then they play a Blood Moon. Let's Fatal Push the Giant. We lose 2, then gain 1 back. The Blood Moon resolves. So now we're just looking for, I guess, a basic Swamp would be pretty good. Maddening Cacophony would be nice, or just another orb. Tremendous. We jam the orb. We're going to hard pass. They crack the relic, exiling everything. Then we mill them and gain some life. They're at 7 cards. They play a mountain. They hardcast the giant. I think they very likely need another Shattering Spree or some other kind of artifact destruction if they want to actually win from here. We mill some. We draw an eliminate. That's not really what we're looking for, but that's fine. Let's play Ruin Crab. If anything, it's just a really good blocker. They untap, mill some cards. They've got 3 left, and now I just feel like they're stuck. We block. The crab dies. We mill some. We draw a Glimpse the Unthinkable. Then we're just going to pass. They mill some, they draw some, they've got 1 card left. Don't know how they're going to deal 13 damage in 1 turn, but hey, why not? They swing in, take us down to 9. I guess maybe they've got a bunch of damage dealing spells, but I mean, we've milled over so much. And they scoop it up. GG's. Okay, it looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friend. And we won the die roll. Nice. I would say that this hand is pretty decent. It's begging for a crab, but other than that, it's pretty good. Our opponent goes down to 6. That's always nice. Let's lead off with a Darkslick Shores. We'll pass. They draw for turn and jam a Bloodstained Mire. Excellent. Always happy to see that. We untap and draw. Fatal Push. That's also good. Let's play a field, and then we'll go Cacophony. Just get real aggressive. And it looks like we're playing against traditional Jund. Awesome. It is really nice to see that nowadays. They crack the Bloodstained Mire, get an Overgrown Tomb. We will hit them with a trap. That takes them down to 31. So far, we've hit 3 of their Goyfs, a Lily, a bunch of Bolts, and we see some Croxas, K commands, good stuff. And they play their last Tarmogoyf. Well, that's pretty easy. We draw a Field of Ruin, and I want to take a look at their graveyard situation, specifically for basic lands. We see double basic forest. What they might be doing is swamp, swamp, forest, forest, and a mountain. So I think what I want to do is play the Flooded Strand, crack it, get a Watery Grave, then we'll field their Overgrown Tomb, grab a swamp, as do they, and then we'll push the Goyf. Beautiful. Taking them off of green is going to be very nice. They play a Verdant Catacombs, and then a Bob. Awesome. They crack the Verdant Catacombs, and find themselves a Stomping Ground. Well, I think we're going to be fielding that as well. We untap and draw. Let's play the field, hit the Stomping Ground, grab an island, they get a swamp, and let's eliminate the Bob. We're leaving ourselves open to Liliana's, but we've already milled what looks like 2 of them. Yeah, so that's not the end of the world. They draw for turn, and it looks like they're passing. Excellent. We draw a Glimpse. I think we're just going to keep the swamp in hand, just in case they play a Lily and for some odd reason we either can't or don't want to counter it. We jam the Glimpse, and they scoop it up. Nice. Okay, so sideboarding against Jund. Think we definitely want the Gusts, maybe even the Bloodchief's Thirst. There's something to be said about Crypt Incursion because it can hit Croxa, so I think we're going to have to keep those in. It is worth noting that we could just take them out and rely on the Surgicals. That's a decent idea. We'll consider it. A part of me wants to cut the Cacophonies because they're not as high impact, and in this type of matchup, we want as many high impact cards as we can possibly find. And then, could it be worth it to potentially take out 2 pushes in exchange for those Bloodchief's Thirsts? That is tempting. I think I like that, actually. I don't think we need the Mementos. They're very useful, but it's not something we're necessarily considering in a matchup like this, so we'll ship it back and see if we can close this one out. Okay, so taking a look at this hand, it's pretty decent. We need a second land in order to operate in a way that we're actually comfortable with, but outside of that, I think we're fine, and we don't really want to mulligan too much anyways. And even if we dirtle around for a bit, we're kind of used to that. They play an Inquisition. I almost have to think that they're going to take the Drown of the Gust, but they do take a Crab. Wow. We draw a Darkslick Shores, so the cat's out of the bag. We'll play it, then go Crab. I assume they have a push in hand or something like that, maybe an Abrupt Decay. If they hit it with a trophy, that's going to be marvelous. They play a Peat Land, and then go Thoughtseize, taking our trap, and then we see a Fatal Push. Sure. We draw a trap, so I think what we're going to do here is just go Delta, and then we'll pass. We can hold up Gust, Drown, trap them if need be. Everything will be fine. They've got 4 cards in hand. They play a Forest, so no red so far. We see a Thoughtseize. All right, enough is enough. Let's drown it. Looks like they're passing. We draw a Watery Grave. We'll play that tapped. Then we'll go Glimpse. Mill them for a bunch. They lose quite a few red lands, so that's good for us. They untap and draw, and then jam a Brutality. There goes the trap. They're passing. We draw. Crypt Incursion. It's decent, although I don't think they have any creatures in there. That's funny. Oh well. We'll pass. They draw, and a Raging Ravine. We draw for turn. Trap. Another one. That's pretty good. We pass. They draw for turn. And are we going to see a Bloodbraid? We will. Okay. They hit a Veil. That's truly marvelous. So weirdly enough, in this scenario, just because they have Cascade, I think we have to let this resolve and just kind of leave it there until we can actually kill it. We don't want to gust it because they could just put it on top and that'll be that. What we might be able to do is wait for them to crack their fetch and then gust it so it gets shuffled away. Well, that'll work. Let's gust it. They get an Overgrown Tomb, and then we hit them with a trap. Okay. Couple of Croxes, some Goyfs. I think what we want to do here is just go for the Crypt Incursion, get rid of what they have, and they just scoop it up just like that. Wow. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friend, and we won the die roll. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be keeping a no-lander, so we ship it back, and this is certainly better. I think we want to keep and ship the push. It's a little bit greedy, but I love the rest of these cards. So we're going to start off with the Darkslick Shores, and then jam the Crab. We pass, they draw. Urza's Mine into a Sphere. Sure. All right, this is actually a pretty good matchup for us. We untap, draw another Crab. We'll play it, then go for the Delta, yield to the triggers. We hit a Power Plant, some other stuff. They're running main board Veils. That's fun. Let's crack the Delta, get ourselves a Watery Grave tapped, mill them some more. Worm Coil, Map, Tower, Stone, 4 mana Karn. All right, good to go. Got them down to 39 already. They play a tower. That's not good. Then they crack the sphere. They play a star. They crack that as well. And it looks like they pass. Let's play the fetch. We'll crack it, get an island, mill them some more, play a visions, and then we see double trap and 2 glimpses. Nice. We'll go glimpse number 1, and we'll pass. So far, no shuffleable Eldrazi, which is really good. The opportunity cost of running like a Kozilek in these decks is almost non-existent, so I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen anything yet. They play a second mine into an O-Stone. All right, looks like we're good. Let's play the third Crab, and then land. We mill them for 9. We'll crack the Delta, and they scoop it up. Nice. Okay, so sideboarding here should be relatively straightforward. I think that we definitely want the gusts. I want to say pretty much every time. Veil is a huge thorn in our side, so we're going to want to avoid that if at all possible. I feel like pushes are way too weak, as are eliminates. The Crypt Incursions are probably not what we want to be dealing with. We definitely want the lanterns. That way we can stop any potential Eldrazi triggers. I feel like the Bontu is pretty useful, and then maybe like a Dispute just as another way to kind of just counter things if need be. Outside of that, I think we're fine. All right, I definitely think we're keeping this one. Double trap, can't argue with that. They keep 7. They play a mine into a sphere, and they pass. We draw the third trap. That's hilarious. Let's play the Darkslick Shores. We'll pass. They draw for turn. They crack the sphere, make a green, and then play Stirrings. They find themselves a star, and then play a forest and a star. Cool. Well, that certainly buys us some time. Hopefully we can find a field. That would be very good. Well, there you go. Ask and you shall receive. Let's play the Flooded Strand, and we're going to pass. They draw for turn. They play an Expedition map, and then a Sanctum. They search. Before that, I want to crack the Flooded Strand. We're going to get a Watery Grave untapped. Wait for them to search. They find a tower. Then we're going to go trap number 1, trap number 2, trap number 3, and they're at 9 cards. Cool. We untap, draw visions. That's pretty good. Let's play a field. we'll target their mine, find an island, they find a forest, let's play a Visions, and double glimpse into a Soul Guide Lantern. All right. What's great about this is the Soul Guide Lantern will protect us from losing to Eldrazi triggers, which means this is probably one of the strongest games I've seen against Tron. Now, this is an easy matchup. There's no getting around that, but still, this is crazy. They play a Trinisphere into a tower. All right. Then they crack the star. So we definitely have a few options here. We can just go for the glimpse, or we can play the Soul Guide Lantern and do things that way. I think that might be better. We see a trap. Let's play the Soul Guide Lantern. I don't want to mess this up, and I don't see how they actually win from here. Let's exile, I don't know, an O-Stone. They play and crack a star. They play a tower. All right, looks like we're good. We untap, draw a crab. Let's play a glimpse, see if they have an Eldrazi, and they do not. And they scoop it up. GG's. And there we have it. I gotta tell you, Mill feels pretty good right now. I definitely think we could tune it up a bit, but with that said, I truly feel like this deck has a ton of potential. In terms of what we could change, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to grind with it a little bit more to see what isn't up to par, because the one downside of a deck like this is sometimes it just kind of wins in really stupid ways, which isn't exactly helpful if we're trying to tune the deck properly to the meta. Either way, please let me know if you guys would like to see more Mill content in the future. If you made it all the way to this part of the video, I want to thank you all so much. The support that I've been getting has been beyond heartwarming. We even broke 400 subs this week, and I'm shocked. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. It really does help, so thank you, and as always, stay safe out there and have a good one.